this is the most like Bradley Beal-ish year that he's had. I remember
putting up buckets.
Yeah, just nothing but buckets. I think his teams were 25 and 31 when he played. I don't think he's had such a discrepancy like that maybe since his rookie year, because at least in his second year, even though they didn't make the playoffs, they still had a winning record. They just couldn't get in. This time, they're not a winning team when he's on the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is that time of week where we have a guest join us and coming to us live from Detroit City. Yahoo Sports own, Vincent Goodwill, what's going on?
I'm finally okay with you calling me Vinny. I'm glad you didn't go the Vince route this morning.
Dude, I rarely go to Vince route because I don't know Vince. I ain't never met that dude. Vince only come up when all of a sudden somebody coming around that might have some money for you. You know what I'm saying?
I won't tell you who the player was, but it's a player I know really, really well. And I did an interview with him yesterday. And as we closed out the interview, he said, "Hey, thank you, Vince." I was like, "Who's Vince?" And he just busted out laughing. He was like, "Man, I don't know where that came from." So Vince only pops up when it's time to do business.
Yeah, he think you trying to be fancy for the folk. He don't want to embarrass you in front of the white people. You know what I'm saying? He think the white people know Vince, so he trying to come through for you, in that way.
Yeah, but when he first came onto the Zoom, he says, "Vinny." I'm like, yeah, it's a little different.
We having a good time. Unlike LeBron James, he not having a good time.
He's having time of his life, Bo. Time of his life, he said.
Oh, I forgot he did say he was having the time of his life. Like, speaking of John Henry, is he about to John Henry his way out the league? No, and I asked that seriously because as wildly impressive as it is, right? These numbers that he's putting up, the minutes that he's logged in the last few years, especially given that he's in year 19. Guess what? He's in year 19, right? He not playing right now. I was reading, it was on The Athletic. I can't remember if it was Jovan Buar or Bill Orm who wrote this, but they made the point. But it's like, look, you can only reasonably expect 65 games a year out of LeBron right now. Which, by the way, your other dude, even in best case scenario, you can only reasonably expect 65 games from.
Wait, I think that number's a little high.
That's what I was about to say. Is 65 too high for Anthony Davis?
I think 55 is the max for AD. And here's the other nasty little secret. If you want to go to LeBron route, that's cool. We go to LeBron route. This is the most Bradley Beal-ish year that he's had. Remember
putting up buckets.
Yeah, just nothing but buckets. I think his teams were 25 and 31 when he played. I don't think he's had such a discrepancy like that maybe since his rookie year, because at least in his second year, even though they didn't make the playoffs, they still had a winning record. They just couldn't get in. This time, they're not a winning team when he's on the floor. And you can't just point to Russ on that. Everybody got to wear this.
No, let me tell you, I was just looking that up. It don't matter who's out there. They're not a winning team. They have a negative net rating with LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the floor and Russell Westbrook not on the floor. They have a losing record, I want to say, if it's Anthony Davis and LeBron James and no Russell Westbrook, they have a losing record. I think they have a losing record with all 3 of them. Obviously, they have a losing record if it's just any of the one of them, though I don't think there's ever been a just Anthony Davis game because LOL, come on. But every way it's gone, and see, with LeBron, I mean, looking people out here thinking I'm hating on LeBron, it's not so much about hating at this point as it is what I think is interesting to watch is, as you said it's like a Bradley Beal sort of situation. What we always have expected with LeBron is everybody else is going to be better merely by being in his presence. And I would have reasonably expected that LeBron James plus 11 dudes was at least a 500 record, all right? Their roster is ill-fitting, but I wouldn't say it's full-on terrible. The Athletic made the point that after his top 3 players, after his top 2 players is the worst roster in the league. I guess, I don't know, right? I don't know. I'm not prepared to go that far, but I still would think that LeBron plus anybody else, we'd all kind of grown up thinking that, right? LeBron plus anybody else will get you there, and you'll see dudes perform in ways that you hadn't seen them perform before because, like you said about Russell, I always figure it out. Well, it didn't happen, but part of it is Maestro LeBron isn't really present like he'd been before. This is get bucket LeBron, which we've never really seen before.
Bo, that was the point I was going to make. usually we see LeBron in this mode where we say it's always figured out. Yeah, kind of true. He took, the junk from Sanford and Sons garage to the NBA Finals in 2018, right? And not to say that he's declined so much, because people hear decline and they think you hating, they think we saying that he's trash. No, it's not that. But LeBron taking the mode of, I'm going to score as the best method for us to win, that really wasn't the best method for you guys to win. And not to say you turn this thing over to Russell Westbrook and leave him to his own devices. That's not the best route. But normally you would think that he would have played a little more free throw line down, a little more drive and kick, get the Malik Monks and all those type of guys. Like normally he would make Austin Reeves a star. Austin Reeves would become the new age Boobie Gibson or something along those lines. And he felt like, whether he's on personal reasons or he felt like this was the best way for the Lakers to win, that for me to score 30 to 35 a game is the best way. And I don't know if the calculus on that was correct, because when you looked at it, yeah, he hit those 55-point games that looked really, really good. But on the average night, when you're getting your asses waxed, other people aren't involved and other people aren't engaged. And clearly they didn't feel engaged when you were scoring 50 a night.
Does he think that's the best way to win, or is he trying to be the all-time leading scorer in NBA history?
I mean, you said it.
No, I mean, I don't see how anybody can't ask that question at this point. Like, the dude goes gunner in year 19. We've never seen him go to that place. Like, is he going to be like, was it Don Nelson and George Karl? Right? These dudes that just wanted their Red Auerbach record so bad? Because the thing, if that's what he's doing, and I don't know, but I do think it looks like it, right? Mm-hmm. But let's say that is what he's doing. If you want to have that so that you can say it, that's cool. Don't nobody care, though. I don't know if he recognizes that. Like, if, these are all big ifs, right? If it's about the Jordan case, right? I'm trying to stack a resume that goes next to Jordan. This ain't gonna do it, and I know that because it didn't work for Kareem, who, by the way, probably has a better argument for being the greatest player of all time than even LeBron James has, right? It didn't work for him. Nobody actually cares who the all-time leading scorer in NBA history is. They don't. If you care, that's cool. We'll do it up big when you break the record, because it's not like it's an insignificant record. But this isn't like becoming the home run king in baseball. It ain't that. No, like having the most touchdowns in football. It don't. There's the baseball home run record. And then it's a bunch of records that's just out here. That's it.
This one, to me, I feel like this is an argument that he's going to try to make 5 years from now when he's done playing, right? What did when you add up all the accolades? I won a scoring title in year 19, which he actually might not win because Embiid scored 45 last night. But I think for him, he's trying to check off all the boxes, all the imaginary boxes in this argument. But remember on that whole thing that he did in 2016 or 2017, he said, well, when I took down the Warriors in 2016, I felt like that made me the best player of all time. If that's the case and you've won a championship since then, you took another bad team to the finals since then, why does this matter to you? Maybe you don't truly believe that you factor into the argument, you're just saying it. And I've long said that LeBron is number 3 behind Mike and Kareem. And slowly behind that, or not too far behind that, might be your boy Irv. Irv's got a greater case than most people give him credit for, man.
Well, hold on. That's an interesting one, right? And I ask this question sincerely. Why are we so sure that LeBron James is a better NBA player than Magic? I went to the finals 9 times in 12 years, Johnson.
Or Larry Bird.
Yeah. But this is my thing about, because the thing I will say that LeBron has over Bird and Magic. While both of them, I think, were better, Bird and Magic were better defensive players than we gave them credit for being. Like, Larry Bird made second team all defense a couple of times. Both of them were good at playing the lanes, like all of that stuff. But we'd agree neither of them were lockdown defenders.
Right.
In fairness to Magic, it wasn't possible. This dude out here 6'9", trying to run around with whatever guard you decide that Magic is supposed to guard. Okay, like that's the argument there. There was a point where LeBron James was the best defensive player in the league. Yes. It's there. But this Magic Johnson thing, guys, I don't I don't think the youngsters, because everything is so Jordan dominant, I don't think you guys understand that this Magic Johnson thing was something bananas, just insane. Because I think somehow people now think that Magic wasn't a great athlete. Like basically like he was just a 6'9" point guard that was just backing people down.
Right.
Magic was 6'9" running the break. And if you think that Magic would not yam on you, they're clips. They're clips, guys. What's that? The championship game in 79? Where he brought that down on that dude?
Yes.
No, guys. It's there. That dude, whoo-wee. And by the way, had 2 seasons of approximate triple doubles at like 23 and 24 while being the secondary option.
Yes, I think it was like 18, 9, and 9.
But it's like 9.5, 9.5.
Yeah, like 9. Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
Hold on. 9.5 while not playing point guard.
Not playing point guard. You're playing next to Norm Nixon. And Kareem is the undisputed number 1 option, but you still win finals MVP in 82. You know what I mean? Like, people don't get it. When y'all asked Irv to score, when they said, Cap, it's time for the slowdown to start. Magic went out there and averaged 24 a night with 12.5 assists and 8 rebounds, which means he was leading the break and finishing it and telling everybody, I will still take care of you guys. Like I don't like the greatest 2 Magic greatest feats that I think go largely underrated, Bo, carrying that dog.
Yes. 91.
Lakers team in 91 to the finals, past the Portland team that was actually the league's best, right? They were combustible, but that was the league's best team. You had Eldon Campbell, Tony Smith, the rest of James Worthy, the rest of Byron Scott. Like, those dudes were past their prime at that point. That was no longer Showtime Lakers. And your center was Vlade Divac in year 2. Can you imagine what type of mental carrying he had to do just to get that team to June?
Vinny, they were the number 1 seed in 1990 with the team. That was the first year after Kareem had retired, with a team that wasn't honestly that much better. They went to the finals in 89, and yeah, they got swept, but that was off the grind of 3 straight champions, 3 straight runs to the championship, all of that stuff. No, I don't know how Magic has remained so famous, yet somehow I just don't think. Like, we just threw LeBron over a lot of people without, like, asking questions, right? And part of it is because we became once the league became perimeter oriented, it changed the way we had the discussion. Like, Bob Ryan always makes the point that it's centers and non-centers.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we got to talk about this, because the impact of the center prior to, say, the year 2005, really, the impact of a great center was still so much that you had to have that. You couldn't ignore it, and what you could do with what the game was so different. But now, as a result, we ignore centers almost in the larger discussion completely. Like, you know who else we haven't talked about in this, who ought to come out his grave right now and slap us all silly? Wilton Norman Chamberlain. Like, you can get all that, Wilt didn't win. Yeah, dog, but Wilt sure did wilt. He did a lot of wilting, guys. I don't mean wilt in a negative way. I mean being wilt. Like, I just don't. We just not going to get out here and act like scoring 50 points a game. I don't care if you played every minute or not. That's 50 points a game.
I don't get how we've largely. I put it like this. If you want to say that Russ gets valued a certain way because of who he played with the Celtics and, all those Hall of Famers, I would say he made them Hall of Famers. With Wilt, hey, man. Look, he played every minute of every game that he essentially did not foul out in, right? Like, that says a lot.
Remember, he never fouled out.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The man didn't foul out. The man played 50 minutes a game, which meant he played every minute, plus those overtime games, plus the terrible travel that we never talk about when factoring in how much advantages today's players have over players of yesteryear, and say, man, can you imagine them playing against them plumbers? Yeah. All right. Yeah, you go sit on a bus of a Greyhound the night before a game and see how much you're gonna be stretching out next night.
At Wilt size.
Please. Like, we need to recalibrate this. You know, I know we weren't trying to turn this into a 75 discussion because we had that already. But yeah, man, it's a lot more discussions that we need to be having besides just 1 and 2. We need to figure out who number 2 actually is. I think number 1 we're pretty clear on. But number 2 through 5, it's time to have a discussion. Seriously.
Yeah, no, like what exactly to do with Bill Russell's tricky? The thing that people don't get about Bill Russell is they had Bob Cousy for how many years and never won a damn thing, and then Bill Russell showed up and immediately they were champions.
The one thing that I will say, that if LeBron wants to have an argument over any of those other guys, over Magic and Bird specifically, is Magic came into a league with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on his team, right? Now, maybe Cap was maybe slightly disengaged or whatever it was. He wasn't fully, into it. So
he was past prime.
Right. The best of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was clearly before 1980, even though he was still an MVP. And Bird came in, being drafted in 78 and then still playing that last year at Indiana State and everything else. So he came into a fully-ish formed Celtics team. Now, granted, he turned around from 29 to 61.
Yeah, 61.
In year 1. You know what I mean? I think only David Robinson had a better, rookie year, sort of turnaround. So they came into maybe better fully formed teams where LeBron had to literally build up a franchise. And I will give some guys a little bit more truck when you build up a franchise, that being like the Jordans, the Zeeks, the LeBrons of the world. But at the same time, y'all not just going to act like Magic didn't just come on the floor in 96 after taking all them years off, looking plump as all hell and giving people 16, 7, and 8 a night while not being in shape on that Lakers team.
Dog, just playing dad ball. Give me the ball, either the high post or the low post, and y'all go do something, and y'all can't guard me.
I'm going to find you. Eddie Jones.
Dudes I ain't been playing with, right? I just been watching these dudes on TV. Yeah. That we were doing in the last dance. That's how. Dog, that's the other thing the old game had, that just because of like the nature of playing zone and stuff like that, it's ball handling don't mean what it used to. Not just dribbling ball handling, but like that Connie Hawkins stuff, or that like holding up, like that Jordan palming the ball, holding in front of you and all that, because you're not getting ISO'd in that same way. It just doesn't do the same thing. That's when them dudes was just at the mercy of whoever had the ball. Jordan got his back to you at 17 feet in that mid post, holding the ball up in one hand, turning to the side, and you just like, somebody please come double this man.
Help. This is like the man, like that internet thing where the dude is on the subway holding up the wall. Help. That's what I'm doing. If I'm 6'3", Joe Dumars, and Mike at 6'6" with all the athleticism in the world is facing me, he quicker than me. I'm probably just as strong as him base-wise, but he's quicker than me. He's more athletic than me. He's taller than me. Man, somebody else do this. Y'all come do this.
Yo, and the thing with Magic that I think gets lost, Magic could have been an all-star at least 4 positions.
Yep.
If the game was Magic, you gonna play small forward, Magic would have been a small forward. If you're like Magic, you gonna be the 2 guard, Magic would have been the 2 guard. Power forward, oh man, he would have been the greatest power forward of all time, especially like coming in the league at that time. He would have been the greatest power forward of all time.
I got you another one. If he plays today's game, take everything you know out of it. But if he plays today's game, he's that dude in Denver.
Yeah.
You put him in all the different spots on the floor. He's your primary ball handler. You do everything around it. Late career Magic became a much better standstill three-point shooter. And if you're playing him against 5, that shooter easily works.
Yeah. That's a great point. Because, dude, Jokic, them Twitter clips of them passes Jokic be making, it's like he's just bored and just finding new ways to do this.
Wizardry. It's like, look, I won't say that Jason Kidd is like the most-ish type, but Jason would give you the move to the left, the move to the right, all in midair, and then throw some ridiculous bounce pass somewhere that he wasn't even looking. That feels like that Jokic.
Yes.
That feels like Jokic is literally looking at the coach and then throwing it to the baseline. Those are two diametrically opposed positions. Y'all don't get it. And maybe it doesn't help that Jokic doesn't promote himself and the Nuggets don't promote him. So you don't see him, and we don't see him on air all the time, so we don't really get a chance to fully appreciate it. But can you imagine defending like Will Barton, and Barton is cutting baseline, and you see Jokic at the top of the key, but he's looking in the stands. And all of a sudden, you just see this bounce pass just come right by your fingertips, and he laying it up, and the coach looking at you saying, "Hey, man, watch your man. Hey, man, watch your man. Leave me, did you see that?"
Hold up. Brother, I have 47. If you haven't seen this, Jamal Murray tells this story about Jokic, where he said Jokic is getting guarded by Rudy Gobert. He's got like 47 points. And he's got his back to Gobert. And he said somebody's coming on like a little half double. And Rudy's like, "No, I got him. And he said Jokic just looked at him, like in the midst of having the ball, leans his back to him and says, "Brother, I have 47. Like, you sure you wouldn't like a little assistance in getting the job done? And by the way, they're good this year. Like, the talk about Jokic can't be MVP. Nah, Jokic is the MVP again. And there is, to me, especially considering they're down Jamal Murray, they're down Michael Porter, they're 5th in the West. What else are we really talking about here, while also still putting up these crazy numbers? And my buddy Nick, I love Nick Wright to death, you know this, but he's embarrassing himself with this Jokic thing. I don't know why he insists upon embarrassing himself. White dudes get weird about white dudes playing basketball. It's the craziest thing. Like, there's the ones that prop him up too much, and then, some crab in a barrel shit. I don't really get it. But it's not just the computer saying Jokic is good. The regular old stats. Like, the dude's out here, like, I don't even know exactly what it is now, but it's like 26, 13, and 8.
He's top 10 in all of the major categories, Bo. Nobody else is doing that. Top 10 in scoring, top 10 in rebounding, top 10 in assists. And as a voter, and I've said this on this podcast before, I've said this anywhere else, my Mendoza line is 50 wins. Because since playoff expansion, which is 84, only one player has gotten the MVP, and his team did not have the equivalent of 50 wins even in the lockout year. That was Russell Westbrook in 2017. But hardly anybody's getting 50 wins this year. You know what I mean? It's Phoenix, it's Memphis, it's Golden State, it's Miami. Those are the 4 teams with 50 wins right now. I can't say that there's an MVP candidate on either of those teams by that rigid criteria. Now, at this moment, I think Denver is 47 and 33, so they can win 49 games. They can push right up on it. I'll make an exception. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, who else? Like, who of the teams that's in the 50-game zone are we really talking about, right? Like, I guess we could talk about Giannis. They going to win 50, right?
Yep.
Right? It's like that's...
They're 48.
Yeah, that's the only guy I look at over there where I'm like, okay, maybe that's the dude that we go with. Nah, man, you can't put up the numbers Jokic is putting up and carry a team in the way that he is carrying that team, which is like not dissimilar to Cleveland LeBron James right now.
The only caveat I would say is usually MVP comes from a team that you think has a reasonable shot at winning it all. Reasonable shot at winning it all, regardless of wins. And that's the point that our buddy Miles Brown has made plenty of times, and I'm like, you're absolutely right. My thing on MVP is this. Other thing on MVP is this. And this may be really, really foolish of me, but I don't want to be made a fool out of because you wet yourself during the playoffs.
Yeah.
If the margins are thin, right? And it's like, okay, which guy is going to lift his game? Which guy has more room to grow, but which guy is more likely to maintain or exceed this level of play for his team? That's how you prevent Karl Malone from winning MVP twice. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I don't care what the numbers say. Karl Malone won MVP in 97 or 99. Like, I think people were just bored, or they couldn't find somebody in 99 to win.
Well, Jackie McMullen won him that 97 MVP.
Yeah, with that Sports Illustrated, that bogus Sports Illustrated article where he was talking around like he's Susan Lucci, never winning the soap opera award. I'll never win MVP. You just won MVP, fool. And then you wet yourself in the finals. How dare you? I hate. Look, there's a lot
You
of
hate
things.
Carmelo so much.
Dude, you pick on dudes who can't fight back because you 6'9", 255, right? You elbow the Mark Prices and the Isaiah Thomases of the world, David Robinsons of the world, who you know ain't gonna fight back. And then when it come time in the clutch for you to be a big dog, you missing free throws. You letting Dennis Rodman punk you. You letting Scottie Pippen punk you at the line. Scottie Pippen ain't nobody's bully, but he punking you at the line. Michael Jordan ain't even got to say nothing. It's light work.
That's real talk, though.
I hate Carmelo.
But on the MVP stuff, though, right? People don't always realize that physical symptoms like headaches, teeth grinding, and even digestive issues can be indicators of stress. Let's not forget about doom scrolling, sleeping too little, sleeping too much, undereating, and overeating. I mean, hey, I go through the stress, man, working a couple of jobs, and I feel it in my back, boy. That's why I wind up doing all the yoga and all kinds of things like that just to keep myself right. Now, in a world that's telling you to do more, sleep less, and grind all the time, here's your reminder to take care of yourself. Therapy's been one of the biggest things for me that helps on that front. It just helps to talk sometimes. Now, BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and the Right Time with Bomani Jones listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Bomani. That's BETTERHELP.com/Bomani. Support for this podcast and the following message comes from Supercuts. Hair. It has a way of growing back faster than we want it to, and somehow it can feel like we need more haircuts than we have time for. I know. Luckily, Supercuts is here to make grabbing a haircut easy. You can use the Supercuts app to find the location nearest to you and check in, or just walk in. Another bonus? The salon shows estimated wait time so you know exactly what you're in for. As for the cut itself, it's always super solid, thanks to Supercuts' highly trained stylists. Get in, get out, and get to that thing you needed a haircut for. Whether you've got a first date or a vacation coming up, or you just want to look good, Supercuts makes getting a haircut effortless. It's not just any haircut, it's Supercuts. Check in now on the Supercuts app or on supercuts.com.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think these Nuggets have a realistic chance of winning the West. But how many teams have a realistic chance of winning the West this year? Because it looks like Phoenix going to walk.
No. I won't say what they walk. I'll give you a team that I think could give them real trouble in the playoff series. Dallas.
All right, say more.
Okay. Now, when I think of Dallas, I think of a team that's got one really great scorer, really great player, and a bunch of dudes who are going to make the game ugly. And in the playoff series, we going to make it real ugly. And I'm not taking anything away from Phoenix. I love Phoenix. Like, I spent a few days down there with them. I think they've been under-talked about, but I don't think they're going to walk through. And if Luka can get you a game, like, you know my theory, best player in the series gets you a game, right? So Luka's going to get you a game. What if your defense gets you two? What if that the same way we're going to talk about Boston, the same way we should be talking about Dallas right now, that defense is hellacious. They found someone with Dinwiddie as a secondary option. They got a bunch of nasty, rugged dudes that I think the Western Conference playoffs are going to look a lot like the Eastern Conference playoffs used to be, where you got a bunch of nasty teams beating up on each other and it ain't looking pretty.
Yeah, so, but my thing on the other side is I think that we need to give credit to Phoenix that we normally give to teams in their position, which is these dudes just went to the finals last year, right?
Yep.
There's something extra that comes from that. And I think, we're going to see that, I think, from the Bucks once the playoffs really get going. It's just like, yo, those are the champs.
Yep.
You know, and you know who we saw it with when I really was just like, oh, okay, this really is a thing? It was those bubble Raptors. Even without Kawhi Leonard, you watched them and you were like, oh, those are champions. Now, the Suns, I understand, not champions, so that's a little different, but I think you also feel where I'm coming from. Like, it wasn't like they fluked their way to the finals. They won their way to the finals, and by the way, played pretty damn well in the finals. Giannis just decided that, I called game before it started, it was like, no, I'm going to make every free throw tonight.
Dude, it took, and I say this with all affection. They got beat in the finals. They didn't give it away. They had not just a 2-game lead. They had a pretty decent shot in game 3 of winning that. You know what I mean? And then game 4 happens where Giannis puts on the greatest defensive play in the history of the NBA Finals. And then game 6 where Giannis produces arguably the greatest closeout game in the history of the Finals.
Yeah.
It took a Herculean effort to beat the Phoenix Suns, right? And then they came back and they were like, we're going to be more ornery. We're better. We're still really young. And I don't know where you are on this Devin Booker conversation, but I feel like there's a maturity there with Book where it's not that it was ever just numbers for him, but there's a sense of like pace and timing where he knows, oh, we're up 5. Oh, no, we're about to be up 11 now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so me and the Booker conversation, the Phoenix people get mad at me because I sent a tweet last year. I said it and I meant it at the time. That was, he's a really good player. He's an all-star. But I question whether he's like a game changer in the way that I questioned that about Bradley Beal, right? Like, what do? Get buckets. What else? What you mean? You know what I mean? Like those guys, I'm kind of, no matter how good you are at getting buckets, like my primary thing is getting buckets, I'm apprehensive about, while also recognizing the value of having a dude that, hey man, we need a bucket right now. He can go get it for us. Like, it's something that doesn't play itself out nearly as much over 82 games as it does play itself out over 7, right?
Yes.
But as he's gotten more mature, and I think also having him with a Chris Paul when Chris has been healthy enough to play kind of puts a regulator and a governor on that. But, like, I wasn't as excited about the idea that he could score 60 points in a game as other people were, especially when they lost that game. You know what I mean? Like, and that wasn't his fault. It wasn't like you're losing because you had Devin Booker, but they weren't winning because they had Devin Booker. But
I think he's a different player this year than last year.
Say it again?
I think he's a different player this year than last year.
Yeah, that's what I say. But what it looks like now, in the bit that I've watched them play, well, this is a different animal. Like, this is a more mature player, and it's a more mature team and a really well-coached team. And shout out to you, DeAndre Ayton, for still playing, because I'd be out there salty all the time if I was you too. But I just don't think anybody in the West is going to have it for Phoenix. Like, I think Golden State, I guess we'll see when Steph comes back. But, man, the margins in the league are thin. This is the same core from 7 years ago. I just think time's up. Like, not that they're not good, not that they can't win a lot of games, but if you ask me, I think that time is up.
I think with a team like Golden State, and I said this to someone from the Warriors yesterday, I said, you win games by just walking in the building. Like, you take something away from a team just by walking in the building and mentally taking something away from them. I don't know if that exists anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see Kevin Durant over there. You see Andrew Wiggins. You know what I mean? You still see Steph Curry. You still see Draymond, but it's a little different. And these windows don't last forever. These windows don't last long. And that window was pretty damn long to begin with. You know what I mean? A team that I think I would be a little more worried about, Bo, would be Memphis. Just because they beat you and they beat you up. And they don't care about your pedigree. Now, granted, that's a matchup that wouldn't happen to the conference finals if it got that far. And I'm a little more concerned about Ja Morant than people are kind of letting on. That guy that jumps high and jumps and flies and everything else has a knee issue right now. Hadn't played in 2 weeks. Why aren't we asking questions? Because we haven't seen these movies before. But assuming he comes back and plays and you got this pack of rabid dogs, yeah, I think we're gonna have some. I think we're gonna have something to say in the Western Conference playoffs. I still think Phoenix gets there, I think if Phoenix plays anybody but Milwaukee, they might be the champs.
Yeah, let me tell you this though about like the idea of a Phoenix-Memphis series. Ja Morant is going to want to kill Chris Paul.
Yes.
By game 4. It is going to be Chris Paul, who is at once an old man and an annoying little brother. He is going to be doing everything like that to Ja Morant in that game. He ain't going to go like as far as Dennis Rodman and like grab his booty or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But he going to be out there messing with, like, that's what I see. And if the opportunity for a low bridge arises, Chris Paul ain't going to pass it up. Like, can you imagine the desperation that Chris Paul would have if they wound up down 3-2 to Memphis? Can you imagine all the things that he would do?
Ooh. Chris Paul would call Adam Silver and have that man suspended. That's what that would be. Chris Paul would be on the bat phone. Can you imagine? Like you said, Chris Paul running around trying to chase John Morant. Who else gonna guard him? No, Chris, you gotta guard him. We got our hands full over here. Next thing you know, he gonna look at that Grayson Allen book of raps. Trip. My bad. I thought you was somebody else. That's what that's gonna be. It ain't gonna be the hard foul. It's gonna be the trip. Oh, my bad. I didn't know that was your wrist.
Yes.
We're joking, people. Please don't turn this into we rooting for Chris Paul.
Man, even if we wasn't joking, man, Chris Paul, I ain't trying to hear see no capes about that one. He a good dude in real life. You know what I'm saying? And that's what matters, I guess. Right? Our friends at CarMax have reimagined car buying to deliver a truly flexible shopping experience that puts you in control. Because at CarMax, you have the freedom to shop online and on the line. Once you find the right car, you can buy online with home delivery in select markets, or choose express pickup at your local CarMax. And CarMax has you covered with a 30-day money-back guarantee up to 1,500 miles. Learn more at CarMax.com. CarMax, car buying reimagined. We were talking before we got on here about the Celtics, and I just looked up one day and I was like, wait, are they the best team in the East? Like, if you don't care, and I am a person who does care about like point differential, like the aggregate point differential for the season. They are by far the best in the East on point differential. Jason Tatum is leading the league in defensive win shares. Like, I was always pretty high on Brad Stevens, but I did think he had capped out what he could do with that team, and they went out there and they upgraded.
Yes, and I think it sounds stereotypical, but Ime Udoka was willing to have the conversations that Brad Stevens could not.
Yeah.
That Brad Stevens could not go in there and tell them, hey, Tatum and Brown, y'all got to pass the ball more. You got to involve guys. And he would say it not only to them, but he would also say it publicly. Brad Stevens wasn't doing that. Brad Stevens would go and protect his guys. He would, if the Wolves are circling or whatever, he's going to say, no, you guys are wrong. It's a little different thing. No. Ime Udoka was saying that from the jump. He said that in the opening press conference when he sat next to his boss and said, hey, you guys were a pretty selfish team last year. Who's the coach? The guy who hired me. You know what I mean? Like it takes some balls to say that walking into the door, and to know that you are coaching a team that has some pretty headstrong dudes. And it wasn't easy early. From what I understood and seen, Tatum and Brown did not take the Ime Udoka very early. You know what I mean? And it took some growing. But, Bo, I'll give you this. Their last 10 wins, you want to guess their margin of victory in their last 10 wins? 22.1 points a game.
Wow.
Yep. And so, with that said, they're tied for second in the East with Philly and Milwaukee. I think they all got 49 wins. Would you not like to see, Bomani, a Boston-Brooklyn first-round series? Would I interest you? Would I interest you in that? Could I sell that to you?
Dude, let me tell you, whoever Brooklyn plays in the first round is going to be a wild situation, man. So Brooklyn is going to be in that 7-8 play-in game. And so the way it works is the winner of the 7-8 playoff game gets the 7 seed.
Yep.
The loser goes and plays the loser of the 9-10 playoff game.
The winner.
And the winner of that game gets the 8 seed.
Right.
So,
the winner of the 9-10. The winner of the 9-10 game. Yeah.
Well, yeah, winner of the 9-10 plays the loser of the 7-8.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So if Brooklyn gets that, like where Brooklyn goes greatly affects the dynamics of the whole postseason. But, Vinny, are we still looking at the 7-8 game being held in Toronto?
No, because Toronto's 6 now, which means whoever is the 3, be it your Philly or your Boston, that means they have to go to Toronto in a 7-game series, and we have questions about who is eligible to play in Toronto.
Yes, for those of you who do not know, you can't go to Canada if you're not vaccinated. So the big thing with Kyrie in the play-in game with the Nets was that if they had to go to go to Toronto to win that game, Kyrie couldn't go. Mm-hmm. And there are questions about exactly how many Boston Celtics are vaccinated. And so if they wind up in a situation where they have to play against Toronto, and by the way, you can't just go get a jab and they jump on a plane. You got to have and if you don't have no jabs, you got to go through the whole dose program unless you get the Johnson & Johnson. And Vinny, I don't know if they even still making that. Like, I feel like them Johnson & Johnson containers got to be dusty as hell.
They ran out. They look at this point, if you asking for one, and you're not asking for a boost, and you asking for just one. Hey, can I get one crack, please? Like, you are literally setting off a signal to yourself. Hey, I am only doing this because I got to, right? And let
me tell you this: you go get the Johnson & Johnson. When you get finished, they should give you like a can of Tab or something else they don't make anymore, right? Like, how would you like a RC Cola, son?
Take this with some castor oil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Like, when's the last time you just saw somebody unpeel a baby roof, right? You out here chewing that big red gum. Oh, much feet, it doesn't cost a quarter no more. Like, that's exactly the Johnson & Johnson. Like, you go get the Johnson & Johnson and be shocked how much it costs now. Like, when I was a kid, you used to be able to get a soda for 50 cents.
quarter bag of chips. Nah, bro. You got to get this Johnson. Why you getting this Johnson & Johnson? You know this ain't really effective against this Omicron stuff. Hey, man, just give me that Johnson & Johnson, bro. I don't got time to be explaining this to you. I got to go to Canada next week.
Like, honestly, if you go get the Johnson & Johnson, I don't blame you if your options are get the Johnson & Johnson or get a bogus card. I am not nearly as mad at you about getting the bogus card if those are the two options that you presented with. Like, if they say that's the only two things you can do, which would be the case in this circumstance, I get it if you go get a fake card.
Hey, imagine if you with the Mounties and you going through that whole TSA process and you are Boston Celtics player X or Philly player Y. Yes. How many bricks are in between now and then? Like, here's my card, sir. Here you go. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Such and Such. You're not getting in with this.
Nah.
I read websites. You're not allowed.
PHIZER. No. You're not coming through. Say happening. Just to let you know.
MADERNO. Moderna.
Yeah, no, this ain't happening. I guess we get one last basketball thing in here before we wrap this party up. Can we get Anthony Edwards into playoffs? Like, can we just make sure it happens? I just want 4 games of Anthony Edwards in front of America. I don't care how it ends.
Dude, that is going to be excellent. Like, we think of the Minnesota Timberwolves as Karl Towns. You know what I mean? Most of us think, most don't say casual fans, most fans think of Minnesota. But that dude is going to have so much fun. He's going to dunk on someone, right? He's going to dunk on someone good. Like, imagine him meeting DeAndre Ayton at the rim just cuz, and then dunking on him and taking all the air out of the footprint center or whatever they call it in Phoenix, and we just get a game. Like, we just get an Anthony Edwards 35-point game in the playoffs, and then we get podium. We get Anthony Edwards on the podium. I don't care if it's on NBA TV as opposed to ESPN. It's on the podium with them earrings, that chain.
Yes.
Hey, Anthony,
but hold up, though.
Go ahead.
Hold up, though. This just dawned on me. If we also got that would also mean that we got Karl Towns and DeAndre Ayton, and you better show up, Karl. I realize I'm farther down on Karl than a lot of you guys are, but it's show and prove time, Karl. If Karl go out there and bang with Ayton, maybe I'll see something different. Because the last time I saw him in the playoffs, I just remember chucking the boys coming into halftime, just like, look at this dude get pushed around.
Well, would you rather have Karl Towns against DeAndre Ayton or Karl Towns against the Memphis Grizzlies?
Woo!
Now, Anthony Edwards would be like, hey, this is my type of party. Karl Towns would be like, can we do this over, please? Can we?
Well, here's the problem. It would be Anthony Edwards type of party, but it'd also be somebody like, hey, man, don't be wearing them chains outside, dog.
Hey, did you call Zebo and get clearance before you came to Memphis?
Yeah.
You made sure this is no fly zone. You do realize that, right?
Hey, man, I ain't trying to humble y'all. You know what I'm saying? I just like my chain, man. That's.
But hey, what we got on tap this week for game theory, man?
Oh man, what we got? We gonna talk about some NFL coaching stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think we got the homie Carlos Miller gonna be the guest from the 85 South crew.
Yeah.
So we gonna do that. You know, we gonna hit the streets, talk to the folks. You know what I'm saying?
I love your street segments. The street segments are dope.
Y'all, I wish y'all hated them, boy, because the problem is we have to shoot those at night. And so, man, that time change hit. Man, listen. Y'all out here got me working an overnight shift just because y'all love me talking to these people. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping y'all would find this. Yeah, I wanted y'all to find this whack. Like, I wanted us to do it and people be like, nah, this thing don't really go. No, man, it's dope as hell. You know what I'm saying? It be shot all beautifully with all these contrasts and we running up on the people and stuff. And I'm like, damn.
You got to get the people what they want, man. Look, you're going to have to just stay up an extra hour or two later, man. What time do you film that stuff? Because it does look pretty dark and pretty late and cold.
Yeah, by the way, thanks for watching on YouTube. We're going to talk about the NBA with y'all in a second. But, no, we get out there. I think the last time we was out there, we started shooting about 7:45, get done about 10:45, give or take. Oof. Yeah. And, like, we be shooting downtown, which is cool, except I live uptown, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man, I've had to learn a whole lot of things about getting all that right. So thank y'all so much for liking that so much, you know? Yeah, way to go. Like y'all liking that is when people like, yo, why can't we do the podcast 5 days a week? Because I ain't a machine. That's why. Y'all trying to have the John Henry episode at this bad boy.
Hey, speaking of downtown, I ain't been in New York in a minute, but as soon as I saw some of those like awnings and construction, I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly where Bomani is, or at least I know what borough he's at, and I bet it is windy and cold around them buildings.
Dog, that's the other thing too. We have done, I want to say 2 practice shoots, and now we've done 4 actual shoots for that. The weather has been terrible for every single one. Last week, actually, the weather was not terrible. It was just a little bit of rain. Like, that was the first time that, like, I'd be faking it for y'all. They be getting this on camera. You're like, oh, but mine is like, he's in a good mood. Man, I'd be miserable. I'd be ready to go. And I looked at the weather for this week. It's going to rain all day when we supposed to be out there shooting.
Sorry for bringing up such a...
Yeah. Little did you know. But anyway, Game Theory, check it out, 11:30, Sundays on HBO. And look, one thing y'all know about me, I ain't gonna lie to you even about my own stuff, man. We got something cracking here. Like, I highly recommend y'all check this out. If you're in New York and you want to be in the studio audience, get at a quick little Google right fast. You can go out there. We done had people in there. It gets cracking. We got, like, comedians in there. We get you in and out of there fast. You know, that's all it is. But, man... That's Vinny Goodwill. Check him out. Yahoo Sports. Check him out. NBA TV. Tell him about what you got going with Sirius.
Oh yeah. Well, right after I'm doing some hosting. Sirius NBA XM, you know, doing some hosting there. Got some other stuff in the hopper bowl. Gonna keep that going. So yeah, I'm as busy as you. Game Theory, Sunday nights, right after last night tonight. There we go.
Appreciate it, man. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. We do this 3 times a week. Gabe Bassane and Adi Khan handling things behind the scenes. Thank you, gentlemen. Remember, follow The Right Time. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.